What's up, everyone? Jake Berlin here at the Apocalypse Movies, and I am joined today by Gio Ramos. How you doing, man?
Good. I'm excited. I'm excited about this one.
Yeah, well, as you can tell, I got the headphones in. We are here to review spoilers, full spoiler discussion on Baby Driver, the latest Edgar Wright film starring Ansel Elgort, Jon Hamm, Jaimi Foxx, Kevin Spacey, and Eiza Gonzalez, I think is the young girl's name. Also, Lily James, who Cinderella, Pride and Prejudice, Zombies.
Jon Bernthal.
Jon Bernthal as well got a little role in there, which I kind of wanted a little bit more of him, but we'll get into that.
Come back in the sequel.
Yeah, we'll let's not talk sequel. No.
I want a sequel. I want to see more.
Let's not talk sequel.
Anyways.
No. Okay, so yes, all right. We saw this at different times yesterday. We weren't able to go to the same showing. I saw it 4:30. You saw it about 7:30ish.
Oh yeah.
But I would say we both kind of had very, very positive reactions. And we actually haven't talked in depth about it to each other yet. So this is definitely the first time we're going to be hearing it. And again, we are going full spoilers, so if you have not seen the movie, do not watch this, because this is a movie you have to go into with seeing absolutely nothing, knowing absolutely nothing, because it's just a great film in general. So Gio, let's start with you, man. Just first overall thoughts of the film. Also talk about your expectations, because it is an Edgar Wright film, and the word of mouth going in. Did it live up to it?
Initial thoughts. Man, I was so surprised seeing this movie. God, it's so great. I loved it. And you know, with Edgar Wright, you kind of Edgar Wright's the kind of filmmaker where, like a Tarantino, a Christopher Nolan, you kind of know what you're getting. With Edgar Wright, you're gonna get a certain style of humor. You're gonna get the great fun and action with lots of adventure in there. And with Baby Driver, it's just, this movie is so original, and it's so
good.
The soundtrack is amazing. The performances are fantastic. A lot of these cast members, you get performances from them that you've either never seen or
different kind of Jon Hamm.
Yeah, different kind of Jon Hamm. Jaimi Foxx is just 110% in this movie. And
He's like this scary version of his character from Horrible Bosses.
he's like, he's Motherfucker Jones times 2.
Yeah.
God, initial thoughts is just a great movie. You know, it's fun, it's thrilling, it's fast, it's
Fast and Furious.
Jaimi Foxx is furious in this movie. He seems like he's always pissed off, ready to kill somebody right away.
Ready to catch a bullet. I love that line.
Catch a bullet. He's like, okay, Jaimi Foxx, I don't ever want to work with you again.
Seriously.
But just it has charismatic performances, a charismatic lead, a great romantic story. It's just all around incredible.
Yeah, no, I echo everything you said. And the one thing that stood out to me, and a lot of people may say like, oh, that's kind of a knock on the movie, is Ansel Elgort's performance. Now, his character called for a very slow,
Reserved.
kind of drowsy, reserved is a good word, almost drowsy performance because of the character he was. And a lot of people are going to walk out of this theater being like, oh, that kid wasn't all that good. He wasn't really charismatic. Or I'm like, no, this is the character that he was given, the character Edgar Wright wanted him to be, and doesn't say a lot, does what he needs to by his driving, by his actions.
Yeah.
So that's one of the big things that stood out to me. I had huge expectations going into this movie. It was in my top 10 most anticipated of the year.
Yeah.
Edgar Wright is just, like you said, when you see an Edgar Wright film, it's an Edgar Wright film.
Absolutely.
And he may not be in the conversation yet with guys like Scorsese, Tarantino, but he's synonymous because Scorsese films are Martin Scorsese films. Tarantino films are Quentin Tarantino films. These are Edgar Wright films.
Absolutely.
They're a specific style, specific tone, directed very, very different from any other film out there. And that's what makes it so fun and original, like you had said. It is definitely the most original film of the year so far. It'll probably be that by the end of the year.
Yes.
It's going to be on top of a lot of best of lists this year, like flat out. And so I was very, not surprised, but just surprised at how much I love this movie compared to what my expectations were.
Yeah.
It pretty much blew my expectations out of the water. Like, I was so happy with what I had watched. I was having so much fun. Performances, action, like you had said, the love story was really good, which sometimes we don't really get a good love story. And there was just a lot of background in the story that kind of added to the depth of it, which you don't really get in this kind of heist bank robbery type thing. So I was very, very happy with it. But let's get into the specific positives of what made this film kind of tick for us. Gio, what are the few things that maybe shot it up the charts for you for Baby Driver?
I got to start with the writing. The writing of the characters and especially the dialogue.
Yeah.
Like the dialogue in between characters was just great. Like Jaimi Foxx, like he definitely brought it 110%. A lot of energy.
His name Bats.
But like the dialogue, what he was saying, it's so like intimidating and like
him and Kevin Spacey
both of them, like it's just and there was never a dull moment when they're talking, and that just shows the strength of the dialogue. I have to talk about the camera work.
Oh,
like,
always.
Wow, like you could easily get lost in these car chase sequences or driving, but
there's no shaky cam. There's nothing.
Yeah, and the opening is like a continuous shot of like when he's going to get coffee, and
I love that shot. Love that. And I watched an interview of Jon Hamm, Ansel Elgort, and Jaimi Foxx, and they said that was the first day of shooting, and they did it about 65 times.
65 times.
Yeah.
Wow.
They shot that in like 65 times.
Right there. Yeah. So the performances too, like everybody brought it. I was surprised. Like a lot of these actors I know from different movies. I've seen the performances. I love it. But in this one, you just got like a different side to them. Like Jon Hamm, he's just he's like.
I hope he's in more in the future.
Absolutely.
Because he was so good in Mad Men, and he has small roles here and there. But this shows what kind of talent he really has.
Oh, yeah. Absolutely.
He's so strong in such a different role, like this scummy bank robbing guy who was from Wall Street, and he's got this girlfriend, left his family, like all this type of stuff, and he just played it so well.
That scene in the diner when Jaimi Foxx is calling him out, his face, he looks so fucking intimidating. I want to cuss right now, but and just scenes like that where it's like the situations that Edgar Wright put these characters in, they're so at the edge of your seat. You're just like, wow, like how did they end up on like to this point, and the action was great, the shootouts, the bank robbery, and the music, it just fits in perfectly. Like, Baby Driver, he's such a unique character. Like, he needs music, and he needs to be right on a specific beat in order to do what he does. Like there's
multiple times in the movie where he actually restarts the song.
He rewinds the song, restarts it. There's that scene where he's just flipping through the stations. He's trying to find the right channel. He's like, I need something to go to, and it's just like, wow, that's like so original and so fresh, and it just works.
It goes off of what the main positive for me is how precise Edgar Wright is, because that doesn't work unless we know why he needs that.
Yes.
And Edgar Wright, in Edgar Wright fashion, gave a backstory to everything. There wasn't a plot hole. There was a reason for everything.
Yes.
Why Baby Driver, or where a baby needs this music. He was in an accident when he was younger, and he drowns out the sound in his ears.
Yes.
And not only that, but his mom was into music. And so it's kind of a two-way street for him. A two-lane street, I guess you could say.
Yeah.
And so... yeah, it's just so precise. And also, I don't know if you had noticed it, but it was like very evident to me. Whenever he didn't have his headphones in, there was a ringing going in the movie. A constant just sound that was going, that we could hear what's going on in his head.
Absolutely.
And so, like, again, just how precise, like, even though it's so faint and about 90% of people aren't going to hear that in the theater, he did it because he knows it's needed. And that's what Edgar Wright is. He's a precise director. He likes to be perfect, and he makes perfect films. Nearly all of his movies are perfect. Like his movies are so good. But outside of the performances are fantastic, and Gio touched on them. Jon Hamm is so good. Jaimi Foxx is so good. Kevin Spacey is just Kevin Spacey. Shaw, who I went to the theater with, we had talked about one specific scene in front of the chalkboard when him and Jaimi Foxx are going at it, and he's drawing, and he's like, "Wow, I'm so fucking good at doing this. Like, I'm so impressed." And just like that type of stuff from Kevin Spacey is so good. And then obviously Ansel Elgort, who has been known for a while, but this performance is like it's by far his best to me.
This is his breakout role.
It called for a specific role, and when he was first cast, I was like, "Oh, interesting choice."
Yes.
We know him from The Fault in Our Stars, Divergent movies, but because it's Edgar Wright, he's able to bring something to it.
Right.
And he directs actors and actresses perfectly. He's not just a director. He knows how to direct people, and that's evident in his movies. Like Ansel Elgort, he was spot on in this film.
Right.
Lily James, spot on in this movie. She was so good in the smaller role, the much more reserved role that she called for. A very good counter to Ansel Elgort, and I couldn't see any other person in this role because she just plays that very sweet, innocent role, and she's so beautiful, and she has a great voice, and so she really countered Ansel Elgort very, very well. And then obviously you would touch on the action is just so good. The shootouts, the car chases, and I'm prone to car chases just because I love some car stuff. I worked on cars, and it's so cool to see someone focus on car chases like to the T, and dot every I, cross every T.
The
all
choreography is just amazing.
Yes.
The action, the stunt work, it's all fantastic.
And it's so unique because, like you had said, it all goes to the beat of Baby's music. And if you really listen, not just the car chases, but the way he puts down coffee, or the way he lifts up his record player, or whatever he's doing, it's all to the beat of the song going on.
Yep.
And so that's what kind of puts it over the top, just because it's so unique and different and original, and yeah, it's just such a great film.
And there's a great balance. There's a great balance between like moments between characters and action. Like there's a lot of time spent where Baby's interacting with these characters, and the way they're written, like with John Berthal's character in the beginning, he's like, why do you wear the earbuds?
When he's taking the glasses from him, he pulls the glasses out of his...
right out. It's the little things that just make the characters so much more than just someone who's like very silent to themselves, the silent killer type, And I mean, to counter the criticisms, Ansel Elgort, his character Baby is given moments where like he can just like turn it on in an instant. Like when Kevin Spacey asked him to can you please with the plan, recite what just happened, and he goes on the beat. Like,
and it's very little doubt. Like, I don't think he says anything at all before that.
No,
there's a single word. And they ask him, like, Jaimi Foxx here, like, do you know the plan? Like, I don't think he heard it because he's got his freaking music in.
Right.
He to the T, every single word. And Kevin Spacey's just looking there, like, smiling because he knows he's right.
And
he knows he's got everything down.
And the tension, the dramatic build-up to when he tries to escape, it's just the moment when Jaimi Foxx is in the car right next to him and Jon Hamm is in the window, like, where are you going at 2 a.m. and this and that. Wow. And then, for me, one of my favorite moments is when they're like, okay, so you've been keeping recordings on us? No, I play music with what you guys say. I mix it into there. And they play one of it, and then they're like, oh, he's telling the truth. It's just...
Well, and then they go to the one with Deborah, which is Lily James' character, and that's kind of where the tension even got bigger, because they're like, oh, we know who this girl is. And you don't ever want to see the damsel in distress, but it wasn't just a damsel in distress situation.
No.
It was very, very different, again, because it's Edgar Wright.
Yeah, absolutely.
So, although this film may be pretty close to perfect, there may be a few negatives. Do you have any that you would want to talk about?
Yes. Okay. And it might get to a point where I'm nitpicking here, but I would have wanted to see a little bit more development between Baby's character and Deborah. Okay, like they sit down in the diner, they're talking for a little bit, then they spend a little bit of time in a laundromat. They go on one date, and then all of a sudden she's ride or die. In order to buy their relationship and how close they are, like, bonded, I just needed a little bit more. I would have liked to have seen a little bit more from that. Again, maybe a nitpick.
I totally see what you're saying, but for me, it didn't bother me.
No, and again, it didn't really bother me, but when I take a step back and look at it, like, okay,
you pull the layers back.
Could that have been a little bit better? I think it could have been. And correct me if I'm wrong, but there's a little bit of inconsistency in Edgar Wright's writing, particularly when Kevin Spacey says, I never used the same crew twice. And then next thing you know, Kevin Spacey and Baby, they get out of the elevator and boom, for some reason, there's Jon Hamm, Jaimi Foxx, and the girl, and maybe they're there because, their names, they're actors, they're stars, and they want them to be, like the main focus of the villains. But then there's no John Bernthal. Like,
well, so here's my thought behind it. That
Yeah.
entire scene was like telling Baby, Kevin Spacey's character was telling Baby that this is the job of your life. Like, you're gonna be able to buy a house and a car and live like for the rest of your life off this kind of money.
Sure.
And what I took from it is he said, I don't ever use the same crew twice. This is the reason I'm using the same crew twice, because it's a life-changing job.
Okay.
Because those are maybe the best people he ever had for a job.
Okay.
Maybe he brought him together because it is the most important job that they had ever done.
Okay.
That's what I took away.
No,
from
that's fine. I just wish they would have maybe explained that a little bit more, because
or maybe bring in three different cooler actors to play that kind of role.
He literally said, "I never use the same
Yeah.
crew twice." 20 minutes later, you see the same crew, sort of. Maybe
two parts of two different crews.
Maybe he brought the best parts from both ones, but again, we're nitpicking here. Okay,
Yeah, we really are.
Right? Yeah. So don't dislike because I said that.
Well,
okay?
for me, to be honest, I don't have a negative.
No negatives.
I really don't have a negative. I wholeheartedly, completely, to the bone, love this film.
All right.
Flat out. Love
So
this
do I.
film.
So do I.
From start to finish, everything from the opening scene of the car chase where he's rocking out in the car and then clicks it on when the car turns on, from the walking to get coffee, where that's a clear indication of what this character is.
Okay.
The love story, to the characters, to the action, to the writing, the film or the camera work. It was, for me, it was a perfect film.
Wow.
Perfect
All right,
film.
I can't wait to see your score, but I'm going to go first. Are we going scores now?
Go for it, man.
Score. I'm going to go 9.5 out of 10. 9.5 out of 10 for Baby Driver. The entertainment, the action, the writing, the performances. Like, I'm just judging this movie based off, it's definitely a popcorn flick, but it's unlike anything I've seen in a long time, if not ever. Incredible.
Well, and it's so different because this is a Sony film. Sony backed it.
Yeah.
This is a studio movie. Studios don't do this with these kind of movies.
Absolutely
They don't ever make these kind of movies or support these kind of movies.
Yes.
And it's just so cool to see a film like this be released by such a big company. Because normally, this movie gets released in 100+ theaters on any given weekend. Maybe max once it makes a little money. This was released in thousands of theaters this weekend.
Wow, incredible.
An Edgar Wright film was released in
widely
thousands of theaters.
distribution. Wow, it's gonna kill it.
It really is. And for me, you give it 9.5, I'm going 10 out of 10.
Woo!
I don't give 10s very often. There's very little 10s I give. And it's so very, very important films to me. The Star Wars, the Indiana Jones, like the movies that really hit home with me that I can just delve into all the time.
Nice.
This is probably the 110 that I've given in the last few years. I don't remember a 10 that I've given recently. It really was a perfect movie for me. I loved it from start to finish. There was no pacing issues. There was nothing with editing. I was like, wow, why was that there? No comments or one-liners were said that I was like, nah, that didn't really work.
The music.
The music
flowed.
it's such a unique, different film. It's a character study with action and love story, all this kind of stuff going on. I can't wait to go see it a few more times. I enjoyed the hell out of it. This movie deserves everything that's coming for it in the next year or so. Awards, all this kind of stuff, best of list, everything. I would not be surprised if it finishes number 1 on my best of this year.
Nice. Woo.
And that's including Star Wars.
The Last Jedi might have something to say about
Last
that.
Jedi. Yeah, so we will see. I am Jake Berlin. You can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Qui-Gon Jake. Check out apocalypsemovies.com, our YouTube channel. Gio, let them know where they can find you online, man.
Find me on Twitter at GeoDude90. Check out apocalypsemovies.com where we have write-ups, and subscribe, like, throw some shade my way for my negativity on whatever negatives I might have had for Baby Driver. This movie's fantastic. Go watch it.
Yeah, let us know in the comments what you think if you have seen it. Hopefully you didn't watch this without ever watching the movie.
Right.
But yeah, let us know. Let's have a conversation about it. We obviously love talking about it. And until next time, see you later.